Hello, hello, hello. I am live. I am live. Hello. I'm late. लेट हो गया थोड़ा सा मेरे को बिकॉज यू सी लैपटॉप 4% पे है. आई वॉज अबाउट टू गो लाइव बट लैपटॉप डाइड. तो कोई बात नहीं. विल कंटिन्यू विद दिस. आई जस्ट प्ले समथिंग. We do have MPD running. Yep, we have MPD running. तो can I forgot the commands here. Let's play an FX. And what's with the volume? Why is not playing for me? Why is this not playing for me? Am I the only one not? No? Oh, I got it, I got it, I got it. Yep, got it, got it, got it. So it is playing. I need to add another song here. Yes. Yeah, I'll fix this one, don't worry. That's just font का कुछ scene है वहाँ. Hmm. I think एक काम और कर सकते हैं. I can add the new song that I want to be played to music. I think it's somewhere in downloads music. Yeah, copy everything. Only one. Yep, this is the only song. I think it should copy it down into music. Yes. So now I can go here. Where was it? Yeah, here. How does it refresh? Does it refresh? भूल गया यार. I don't even remember the NCMP commands. There is nope. It's not. Okay, let's just look it up. I don't know. NCMP CPP update database. कहाँ होता है भाई database update? Yep, it's you. We have nefx. There should be another nefx. Yep, there's this nefx. NCMP keeps running by itself. ठीक है, तो मेरे को कोई दिक्कत नहीं वहाँ पे. I just don't want a copyrighted song to start playing. ठीक है, ऐसा कुछ होगा तो we'll just do something about it. ठीक है. For now, let's recap. ठीक है, एक बार देख लेते हैं हमने क्या बनाया, क्या किया था लास्ट स्ट्रीम में, and then we'll continue. If somebody is on the stream, let me know. ठीक है. When somebody comes up, let me know. मैं एक बार रिकैप कर देता हूँ. हमने किविक नाम की एक नई लाइब्रेरी अटैच करी थी. ठीक है, अभी पुल्ड इन दिस लाइब्रेरी. और हमने इस लाइब्रेरी से काउच DB कनेक्ट किया था. सो गोइंग एट द बॉटम, किविक प्रोवाइड्स काउच DB का एक अडेप्टर. ठीक है, एंड हमारे पास एक कनेक्शन है. काउच DB वर्क्स वाया HTTP. ठीक है, जैसे MongoDB हैज़ इट्स ओन डेटाबेस लेयर कॉल्स, ट्रांसपोर्ट लेयर कॉल्स. ठीक है, SQL हैज़ इट्स ओन ट्रांसपोर्ट, तो CouchDB यूजेस HTTP ट्रांसपोर्ट, ठीक है। आई थिंक इसका एक दूसरा ट्रांसपोर्ट भी है, बट आई थिंक आई एम हैप्पी विद HTTP ट्रांसपोर्ट, क्योंकि हम डायरेक्ट कॉल रिक्वेस्ट मार सकते हैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है। सो इफ यू वांट I'll show it to you. Let me see if my yeah, I need to start it up. uh, I will just start our nano CouchDB container, ठीक है, एंड विल ड्रॉप अ हेड रिक्वेस्ट टू HTTP, ठीक है, user colon password at wherever this is 5984 is the port, I believe 5984, yep, ठीक है। यहाँ पे एंड देन यू कैन गिव इट अ डेटाबेस नेम, ठीक है। हमारे डेटाबेस नेम का नाम था आई थिंक ट्रायल, ठीक है, एंड वी कुड सेंड दिस। Okay, so to send head request, I think it uses -i, ठीक है, yep, so it gives us a 200, which means ये database exist करता है, and just to show you whether this is right or not, let's make let's check for a different database, ठीक है। This definitely does not exist, and it gives 404. ओके, सो यू कुड जस्ट ड्रॉप इन अ हेड रिक्वेस्ट विच इज़ वेरी लाइट वेट, इसमें कोई बॉडी नहीं होती, कुछ नहीं होती, एक सिंपल डायरेक्ट रिक्वेस्ट होती है। आई थिंक ऑप्शंस के बाद ये रिक्वेस्ट सबसे लाइट होती है। अब दिस माइट बी द लाइटेस्ट, ऑप्शंस का भी मैं श्योर नहीं हूँ, बट ऑप्शंस एंड हेड रिक्वेस्ट आर वेरी लाइट वेट, ठीक है। वेरी ग्रेट, ग्रेट ऑप्शन टू चेक वेदर रिसोर्स एग्जिस्ट और नॉट, ठीक है। ऑप्शंस का तो काम ही यही होता है, वो चेक करता है वेदर मेथड इज अलाउड और नॉट। तो हेड रिक्वेस्ट पे आप चेक कर सकते हो कि वेदर रिक्वेस्ट विल बी फुलफिल्ड और नॉट, ठीक है। तो ये एक बहुत अच्छा ऑप्शन है हमारे लिए। यू वी कुड ऑल्सो सी लाइक एक्स, आई थिंक द वॉल्यूम इज टू लाउड, इज इट? I think I have a lot of NCS songs. Let's just play power, ठीक है। उससे important I want to reduce volume, which how does it happen? I forgot, man. I have to look this up again. NCMP, CPP commands, or maybe a cheat sheet would be better. ठीक है, NCMP की cheat sheet देख लेते हैं, यहाँ पे ये रहा। Okay, there should be one for volume. Volume के लिए कुछ होना चाहिए यहाँ पे। Server info है, outputs है। Okay, minus left and right and then plus. What is this? Right plus? What? Who the fuck? Let's see if this works. I don't know. Oh, no, shift. Yeah? But it's not dropping the volume. The volume is not going down. I don't know what minus and left means. Like, does that have to do something with my left button? I don't know what that has to do with my left button, but let's see. Cheat sheet.sh पे होगा कुछ. I'll just switch it up. मैं कुछ और देखता हूँ. यहाँ पे भी सेम लिखा है. It's minus and left and then right and plus. What is right plus? There are a lot of things that I can do with this, but reduce volume. Okay, so there's something wrong with MPD. MPC volume -2 with volume 100 does not change the volume at all. -3 yields 98. Okay, let's see if MPC does something. MPC volume -5. What? What? MPC works. Mixer for ALSA device, no such mixer control, PCM. But why do I want you to set the mixer? I just want you to reduce my volume, bro. Let's look at the man page for MPD. यही टाइम पास करने में हमारे स्ट्रीम का टाइम चला जाता है. I don't know. There are a lot of things that can be done with MPD, but not this. Is there anything for MPC? There is F. Okay, with prio, port, and then list of things. Consume, mode on state is not specified. Okay. Current. Okay, previous, random, repeat, single, seek, seek through, toggle, add, insert, clear, delete, move, shuffle. Give me at least volume तो दिखाओ कहाँ पे है. Update, rescan, album art, mount, unmount, sticker. Yeah, volume plus minus sets the number 0 to 100. If then adjust the volume relative to the current volume. Okay, there is outputs, but I cannot select an output, right? MPC does not allow me to select an output. Command dash dash arguments options. Okay, MPC volume, just set it to 40. Okay, there is an MPD error. ये देख लेते हैं. I think that this is why. Let's ask Leo. ठीक है, because मेरे को सर्च नहीं करना. हाँ. What is it? A play dash L? There is nothing like that. Nope. Reboot does not help. अभी reboot करके आया. I think it's something to do with MPD. Yes, not you. Yep. .mpd.conf. Let's see. Audio type pulse audio. Yes. Then there is this output and then an ALSA device. I don't want the ALSA device, to be very honest. I just want the FIFO and pulse audio. That's all I use. MPD reload. Is there something like that? What? +10, -10. Sorry, MPC ALS device. Done. How do I reload? Oh, so it's a systemctl service. Fail to start. There is no log for why it failed to start. It just failed to start. What? Is there something called service? I don't think that I have a service D. Nope, there is no service. My system uses initd, so I use systemctl status mpd. It failed, but it's still running. I'm like, I don't know. Music player daemon has failed, but somehow my song is going on. mpd kill, right? And then let's see systemctl restart mpd. Does that work? That works. And mpc volume 10 works, right? So mpc volume, I'll just set it to like 45. And put, okay, somehow my music player died. Okay, I think I'll just check this out later. No such file or directly. Why? There is no PID, so it's not running, right? That is what it says. It's not running. Uh, I do have an ALSA device here. My database has something. I don't need DB. Maybe I could look at the logs, which simply says play, 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 and something. Okay, so this is just the log of what I already had. कोई नहीं. Playlist नहीं है कोई, तो I don't need that. Address binding is fine. Pulse audio. कोई नहीं. Let's do it the other way. NPC kill. Is there something called sudo systemctl restart media play? It does that. Then do I have the kill command? Nope. npd man for mpd. Let's see. आधा घंटा हो गया, हम कर ही नहीं पा रहे. So we do have some issues. I think I had another media player. Let's see if I can find out any MPD alternative. MPD alternatives. Yes. XMMS2 is a great alternative. Group Basin is a competitor to MPD. Okay, that's too much. Okay, so there are a lot, but they haven't been tested a lot. कोई नहीं. Shit. Need Brave. Keep searching, but I think we'll just stop. ताकि वो मेरा टॉप बार ना हगे. And I think that's it. हाँ, तो we were doing something, right? So if we get, then we get the information. ठीक है, और इसको थोड़ा फॉर्मेट करने के लिए we'll use JK. So we get this, right? We get this, which is basically curl x get. It logs some information which I don't need. I think I can add s. Yes, so it won't log that because s is for silent. ठीक है, तो वो query करेगा, डेटा दिखाएगा, बस और कुछ नहीं करेगा. Okay, so we deleted 5 documents yesterday. There are 3 right now, and disk format version 8. Compact is not running. I don't know what this cluster abbreviation is. There is sizes. ठीक है, तो file size, external size, active size, update sequence, purge sequence, DB name, instance start time. If we look at this instance start time, maybe timestamp to date time online, epoch converter, yes, and this should give me a human timestamp. So it is yesterday. Instant was started yesterday क्योंकि हमने कल ही कंटेनर बनाया था. So that's it. So now we have some information. ठीक है. We also know कि database is running. I think now we should make this a little more handy. ठीक है, क्योंकि बार बार कमांड याद ही नहीं रहता. So we'll make a command for run, which will be go run dot. We'll make one for build, which will depend on clean, and this will be go build dash o into bin aggregator. Okay, and we'll build whatever is in the current, basically the current workspace. And clean may it will just remove everything from bin. I'll just remove aggregator. Okay, dot slash. So it removes relative to the current directory wherever this command is run. I think that's it. And if you want, you can make this a little more extensible by saying where the bin path is, which I'll make dot slash bin. And if you want, you can make that a path. Yes, and I think that's it. Git ignore डाल लेते हैं. Okay, because I think I'll be adding bin to the git ignore, तो वो हट जाएगा my list से. Bin slash. So now I don't need to say bin slash. I'll just say whatever whatever the bin path is. Yeah, I think it's like this, not that. And the same goes here. Whatever the bin path is. I think let's just make a call to this. Go run works. Okay, not found deleted. Okay, so that's just हमारा code थोड़ा सा weird है. Okay, because we were trying to delete something and it just says not found deleted. I don't know what deleted is. Is there something called deleted? Are we trying to delete something called deleted? ठीक है, no need for delete docs क्योंकि we'll be using append only mode. So we do have the DB. Let's change the DB to logs. Let's not even change the database. There's no point of changing the database. We'll pull the database directly from the service, ठीक है? Because I'm building an aggregator, which means your logs इकट्ठा कर सकता है. So it does not have to be service dependent. ठीक है? कोई भी log भेज सकता है. I should be able to identify it based on the service. ठीक है? So, and because we are using a base compliant database, CouchDB, so there's no problem in doing that. ठीक है? So now let's start with the package directory. Package में I'll keep a lot other things. ठीक है? We'll also be building a few other things. So let's start with a database package. Database.go. This comes from package database. All I want is this configuration to not be here. ठीक है, यहाँ से हटा दिया इसको, यहाँ डाल दिया इसको. Also not directly there. Find new database. This will do that, and I'll need Kivik from v4. Yes. I'll need context. Yes. and I'll also need strings. Yes. This is basically create the database if it does not exist. This will only happen once. एक बार जब app start होगा, this will only happen once. So we are safe on that front कि every restart will check if the database exists or not. ठीक है? Another thing is because I'm connecting, I need these two things to be here यहाँ पे. ठीक है, ताकि ये काउच वाला जो है, ये अडेप्टर, ये इस इंपोर्ट से सेटअप हो जाए. So I don't need this, I don't need this. We need context. Yes, print all docs won't be here, add doc won't be here, delete doc won't be here. So we are on a clean slate. Let's start from ground up. Okay. uh we don't need a very extensive ये configuration भी need to be here. ठीक है. I I am happy to use a config.toml file. Okay, because why not? ठीक है. I love using new file extensions. So यहाँ पे I'll just create two sets, two sections. App का नाम is go unstable. Let's just call it that. ठीक है. I don't know. There could be a description. uh, AI से लिखवा दूंगा बाद में. ठीक है. And then there is a port. uh, we'll just set this up on port 6588. I don't know, random. Database में we have user which configures this, password जिससे connect करना है, and database and DB. Let's just call it DB. We'll just call this CouchDB. So this will be DB name, or maybe just DB. DB is fine. यहाँ पे this will be logs. ठीक है. So we are pushing everything to logs. This is admin. This is admin 1234. That was the password. Okay. Now I don't need this, but I need this configuration. Okay, new database. So what I'll do is हम यहाँ पे config बनाएंगे. Package pkg type app config, which is a struct. ठीक है. If you don't know this, ठीक है, तो let me know. We will add something. ठीक है. Welcome whoever is watching. मुझे अपना नाम बता दो chat में. We'll give you a shout out to you. और app config में we have struct. तो what do we need in app config? मुझे configuration में वो toml file parse करनी है. ठीक है. I need this sections. So my app is basically okay. So app config should be on the app config part. Yep. And this will be just the base config class. We'll have an app config which will be toml app. The whole app section will come into this. ठीक है. पूरा app section इसमें आ जाएगा. CouchDB will have a CouchDB config, which will come from toml का CouchDB. Okay. And ये GoLang का खुद का formatter है, तो ये वो कर देता है. Then we have app config. Okay. We have app config में what was it that we set up? Let's split this out. Yes. So app config में we had name, which was string. This will be name. Okay. Then we have a description, which will be the description, and then we have port, which will be port, and port will be an int. I think that's all. I don't think let's not make it port. Let's make it the whole address, ताकि मुझे बाद में इसमें parsing वार्सिंग की ज़्यादा चक्कर ही ना हो. And instead of port, we'll call it adder, which will be a string. So it will be 6588 like this. So bind it on all interfaces. Basically हर तरफ से on everything I'm listening on port 6588. तो हर interface पे I'm capturing 6588. Similarly हमें CouchDB की config चाहिए. ठीक है. ये अभी देखने में बहुत एक्सटेंसिव लग रहा है. Why डू सो मच वर्क। ठीक है, एक सिंपल सी कॉन्फ़िग पास करने के लिए env से ले लो। द थिंग इज env को आई कैन नॉट वैलिडेट अपफ्रंट। ठीक है, env हमेशा स्ट्रिंग देगा एंड वो हमेशा एक ही वैल्यू पेयर है। यहाँ पे आई हैव स्ट्रक्चर। ठीक है, इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी फॉर मी कि मैं हमेशा एक स्ट्रिंग को ही मैप करूँ। आई कैन मैप दिस टू एन इंटीजर। env अगर कभी भी रीड करके देखोगे, द वैल्यू दैट यू गेट, मतलब irrespective of what you set, ठीक है, env में you can set a number, but when you start reading it you'll always get a string. तो you always need to run a validation from your end कि मुझे string से नंबर निकालना है। ठीक है, या मुझे string को specific format में रखना है। यहाँ पे because I'm reading a very specific file format, I can use the file का reader itself to validate it। ठीक है, ये this this format is basically like saying कि I have config, ठीक है, जिसके अंदर there are two sections, app and couchdb। ठीक है, और इन दोनों sections का structure looks like these two structs। तो it makes it super clear कि config कैसे दिखती है और हर वैल्यू का क्या काम है। ऑल्सो मेरे को बहुत सारे वो प्रीफिक्सेस नहीं लगाने पड़े, काउच डीबी यूजर, काउच डीबी पासवर्ड ना, इट्स ऑल नेस्टेड। दिस इज password। Oh shit, password। Did someone tell me? Hey yo Gitesh, welcome, welcome। uh, कैसा लग रहा है? How are you? You having fun? I don't know if you're having fun or not, but हम गोलैंग के साथ कुछ तो टाइम पास कर रहे हैं। ठीक है, वी आर ट्राइंग आउट अ न्यू डेटाबेस कॉल्ड काउच डीबी विच इज़ वेरी सिमिलर टू मोंगो डीबी। ठीक है, बट लाइक यू हैव मोंगो डीबी जिसमें कैसा भी स्ट्रक्चर जा सकता है, वी हैव काउच डीबी जिसमें कुछ भी घुसा सकते हैं। बट अनलाइक मोंगो डीबी, काउच डीबी में एक पूरा एच टी टी पी सेटअप ट्रांसपोर्ट है। सो यू डोंट इवन नीड एक पूरा एस डी के। लाइक मोंगो डीबी के लिए तुमको कोई ना कोई एस डी के चाहिए होती है। CouchDB के साथ you could write your own basic wrapper around उसका HTTP and you can start jumping in and adding data। ठीक है, although I am यहाँ पे using something called Kivik। ठीक है, ये हमने लास्ट स्ट्रीम पे एक्सप्लोर करके ढूंढा था, that Kivik provides me a CouchDB का interface layer and I can connect to it। ठीक है, so this is basically like you connecting to any other HTTP authenticated, ठीक है, endpoint। यहाँ यूजर नेम एंड पासवर्ड आ जाता है। सो दैट्स व्हाट वी आर डूइंग। ठीक है, वी आर ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लोर कि गोलैंग में लॉग एग्रीगेटर बनाना है, बट बिकॉज लॉग्स कुड बी एनीथिंग। ठीक है, आई डोंट नो व्हाट द लॉग इज, आई डोंट नो व्हाट स्ट्रक्चर इट कैरीज। ठीक है, तो व्हाट आई ट्राई टू डू इज जो भी सामने से आएगा उसको एक बहुत ही बेसिक से स्ट्रक्चर में मैप करके सो दैट वी नो कि हमारा लॉग दिखता कैसा है। ठीक है, उसको हम डीबी में पुश कर देंगे एंड देन विल स्टार्ट बिल्डिंग समथिंग अराउंड इट। ठीक है, वो हम करेंगे, अभी हम बस कर रहे हैं, कुछ तो कर रहे हैं। अभी मैं इस कॉन्फ़िग को पार्स करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ एंड find न्यू कॉन्फ़िग। दिस could take in a path। ठीक है, आई एम हैप्पी टू गिव इट अ पाथ। ये देने का रीज़न ये है, ठीक है, ये पाथ वाला पैरामीटर you'll see why I love to pass paths यहाँ पे। एंड गो में you could, इट्स नॉट यू कुड, गो में यू विल पास एरर्स एज वैल्यूज। गो में थ्रो नहीं होता। ठीक है, गो में दो ही चीजें होती है, आइदर यू गेट एन एरर और द ऐप पैनिक्स। ठीक है, बेसिकली इट हैंडल्स द एरर इटसेल्फ और यू गेट द एरर एंड यू हैंडल इट। तो when your app panics you need to handle it। यहाँ पे आई एम नॉट हैंडलिंग दैट केस। ठीक है, कोई भी एच टी टी पी वेब लाइब्रेरी में यू गेट समथिंग कॉल्ड एच टी टी पी रिकवरी। ठीक है, रिकवर मॉड्यूल होता है। आई थिंक वी कैन बिल्ड समथिंग अराउंड इट कि जब भी ऐप पैनिक करने की कोशिश करेगा यू कैन रिकवर फ्रॉम इट। ठीक है, बट वो बनाने का पॉइंट नहीं है बिकॉज वी आर जस्ट प्लेइंग अराउंड। ठीक है, प्रोडक्शन कोड बेसिस में यू विल हैव टू हैंडल पैनिक रिकवरी ताकि योर ऐप इज नॉट इन द डेड स्टेट फॉर एवर। एक बार क्रैश हुआ, इट शुड कम बैक लाइव बाय इटसेल्फ और आफ्टर सर्टेन पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। ठीक है, 2 सेकंड 3 सेकंड के बाद लाइव होना पड़ेगा। यू कैंट कीप इट डेड फॉर एवर। तो दैट इज पैनिक रिकवरी इन गो। ठीक है, हम नहीं हैंडल करेंगे क्योंकि मेरे तो सामने चल रहा है टॉमल। यप, बर्न सुशी का टॉमल है, बट इट विल गिव मी एन एरर कि ये इंस्टॉल्ड नहीं है। आई डोंट हैव टू एक्सप्लिसिटली डू इट, मैं इसको पूरा यूज कर सकता हूँ एंड देन आई जस्ट रन अ go mod tidy. So let's see toml dot what is it, decode. uh, Decoder, I need a decoder, but let's see, I need a new decoder. Decoder, yes. So okay, go mod go mod tidy. Okay, nothing happened because I think we're not using everything. We have an error. Decoder. Okay, let's not do that. Let's do it like this. Okay, so we're using a new decoder and I'm returning nil and nil. Now I don't have a programmatic error, so it will install that for me. मुझे अपना LSP restart करना होता है. If you're using VS Code, ये काम अपने आप हो जाता है. ठीक है? Your LSP is good enough on VS Code. I have a reader, so I need to read the file. IO dot maybe read all. Should I read all? Is there? Uh, yep, there. Yeah, I knew there was something like that. And we need to add it to a variable. ठीक है? This is very similar to how you would write C. ठीक है? You have a function that writes its data to a memory space. ठीक है? एक memory space. But वो memory space आपको allocate करके बताना पड़ेगा उस function को कि this is where you want to write. So I'll just use config as config, or maybe a pointer to config, and I can give it this config ka path. Yep, like that. And when I'll be returning, I'm returning a pointer. So yep, the path to this or the address of that. I don't need that. I just need the error because I don't need the metadata for that. ठीक है? मुझे उसके metadata से कोई काम नहीं. I just need to see if error is not nil, and if error is not nil, मतलब I have some error. ठीक है? There was an error. नहीं तो मुझे nil मिलता. And my config is already here. So I think this should do most of my work. Let's see if it reads config or not. If we are able to read the config, log.println config, right? And for the config, I'll just do pkg. This is our pkg dot new config, and the path is dot config dot toggle, and it also gives me an error if error not equal to nil. यहाँ पे at this point I can panic. Okay. The reason I can panic here, or even better, I could just log fatal. ठीक है, which already by itself calls panic, but ठीक है, it also prints the line number, date, time, and lot other log information. ठीक है, but it by the end it calls os.exit, which is effectively just panic. ठीक है, because panic does the same thing. So we are logging fatal and we exit. तो यहाँ पे we don't even need a return or a continue or something. ठीक है, log fatal का मतलब ये है you log and then you end the program. So all I need to know is whether I am able to see what my program prints. Config, right? Yes. Yes, and let's see. So we are able to load. ठीक है? And if I do this, I think yeah, if I do this, then it will print the whole thing. Is this asterisk is the exact thing जो हम C++ में करते हैं. Unwrapping the pointer. ठीक है? और read the memory address of whatever is stored in the pointer. ठीक है? So value of the pointer कह लो उसको. So we do get everything. Name, description is empty, address is this, CouchDB की config is also there, password, DB. Yep, ठीक है. So we are getting the config. Happy. Okay, now we don't need this. I don't need this whole section. And now we are getting this, right? अब यहाँ पे I need a new database, which is basically DB client. I don't need a database, I just need a client. Error. And that will be database dot new database. and I need to pass it the couchdb config very specifically. ठीक है, मुझे सारी कॉन्फ़िग्स नहीं देनी है उसको, उसको नीड ही नहीं है उसकी. So all I need is pkg dot couchdb config. Yes. Pointer की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है because this config is actually a copy. So even if I do that and हम इसको पॉइंटर बना देंगे, यहाँ पे एरर नहीं आ गया क्या? ओके, तो just pass it the address. कोई नहीं. The database, this will return a kivik dot db, a client. It will return a client and an error. तो I don't want this very specifically. ठीक है, ये अपने आप कर लेगा जो भी करेगा. पैनिक की जगह we could add a log fatal like I said पहले. ठीक है, error. The same thing will be here. And now we can use other values. For example, config.db को हमें create करना है, and यहाँ पे again, यहाँ पे भी one more thing that we need to add to the config. ये host this URL. Okay, so we need to add that, and client URL, or yeah, that should be fine. fmt s printf. ठीक है, बहुत स्पेसिफिक चीज़ें हैं गो में. एस प्रिंट एफ, इफ यू नो, यू नो. एस टी टी पी. डू आई नीड यूज़र नेम एंड पासवर्ड इफ आई एम ऑलरेडी यूजिंग दैट? आई डोंट थिंक. अगर हम ऐसे ही कर रहे हैं तो couch and let's use config dot url, and I don't need to pass that. I'll just set URL string comes from toml URL. ठीक है, and in the config we'll update it to give me URL. ठीक है, there is nothing wrong in having extra values क्योंकि वो उसमें struct में नहीं आएंगी. So you could use this for like 5984. Yeah, so you can use this for your storage values. Yep, मतलब what I wanted to build was something which you can use on anything. ठीक है, मतलब I don't want to be dependent on who uses me. I want people to use this. ठीक है, if I release this as a product, I want people to be able to use this कहीं पर भी, whether it's a small project, like a 100 सर्विस क्लस्टर का एक part. So it does not matter. All I want is, if I am building this even as a sample product for you to learn from it, if you're learning anything from it. ठीक है, I'm not following all the best practices. It's not, I'm not following all the best practices. ठीक है, again, for example, this path this path is hard coded, right? This path, but this path could also come from one of your parameters, because see, ultimately when I build, it will give me a binary. So that binary runs like any other executable. You can pass arguments. So instead of hard coding it like this, I could accept an argument and default it to this value, so that you don't have to pass the argument explicitly, but if you want, you can change the config. It's like having multiple configurations. Just like you have your .envs, dot local, .env dot local, .env dot development, .env dot production. Okay, so it's thing like that. But with .env, I think that merger happens based on who is using. For example, Next.js, and I think React recently also handles this merge. So your .env, like without any extensions, is used first. Then your environment is set up. So if you're in production, then your .env is loaded, and then your .env.production is loaded, which will override any values, uh, any duplicate values on the .env. So you could have like a sample or a common environment, and then you could have production specific overrides. So if you want an example, it's like having a database uh, configured on the common environment. Okay, so .env has, let's say, database 1, and on the production you use database 2. So on the production env, all you do is just add the database value. So when with the same key, and then when your production env will be loaded, it will change the database URL. Everything else will remain the same. So that happens. But here, because I'm using a file, I'm using a very specific file, that merger by itself won't happen. But what I have in this file is the ability to change it on runtime, right? So I want, if that merger does not happen by itself, I need to have the flexibility to be able to change that file based on production, based on the environment. So if I am writing this if I'm trying to run this project as part of, let's say, a Kubernetes cluster, which basically is infrastructure as code. You write code to spin up things. Then based on which cluster you're running in and where your configuration file is, you need to be able to change it. So that is why passing this as an argument was a good thing for us, because now we have the ability to change the configuration that is being loaded. But again, not the best practice. We are not allowing the user to change it. I basically hard coded it. But maybe in the later releases, we might add something on top of this, because now that you have the ability to change it anytime, any name file could do. Like, I am not bound to call it config.toml. You could call it like production.toml and place it inside a configs folder. And then when you run the binary, you just say dash dash config and give it the file name, and it will get loaded. So that helps a lot, but we are not doing it. So it's not 100% best practice, but yes, we are on the path. At least we are doing something. Also, one more thing is, why did I not pull out the DB from here? Like we did a create database option, and it created the database. This precondition failed is very specific, because the error that you get from here, it's not an HTTP error, so I can't check the uh, status code for it. So either I have to make this call by myself, like you saw with the call request. So if you did not see, I'll just make that call request again, or maybe I'll just find it, right? So this this trial database already exists. Dash I is the curl flag for head request. So a request with HTTP head verb. So that gives me 200, but if you write anything else, it gives me 404. So without even running a full-fledged query, and then uh, based on the result, I say that okay, the database doesn't exist, I can make a very simple, very straight, and very lightweight head request to just verify that the database exists or not. And that happens when the app is loaded, because we are doing the new database once the app loads. So as the app loads, I can check whether the database exists or not, and if it does not, it will create it. So based on the error, if the precondition is failing, that means the database already exists. If any other error occurs, I'll just fatally log it. Like, I can't connect to the database, my aggregator has nothing to do. So that is one thing. Also, this defer is not useful now. It was earlier, because we were in the main function, so we were in the main loop, you could say. But now that I'm inside a different function, if I defer it here, if this defer stays, then as soon as I make this return call, my client will be closed, because this function returns and this defer will be called. So I don't want to call this defer here. I have to call this defer here, db client dot close, and then we just defer the call, right? Defer calls, if you don't know, if you're still watching and you don't know, defer calls are basically like cleanup calls. So your function, you have this main function. Okay, I'll take an example from here. We have this main function. As long as the main function is running, this won't be called. As soon as you come out of the main function for any reason, like even if this fatal runs, and this would have been here, let's say. Okay, let's just take an example. If I created the database first, and then I did something, and then a fatal log occurred, basically me exiting out of this function, this will be called. This is an this is a guarantee from Go that this differ will be called if you're leaving the function for any reason. So deferred calls are, I think, a good practice. You don't need to defer a lot of calls. Okay, if you have multiple things to do and you have collected them all. So let's say I have a lot of things to do. So I don't have to do it like that. I can just make like an anonymous function and call it and do the db client dot close here. So I could do other things. If I'm doing a lot of things, I could do a lot of things. But my differ is collectively being called once, right? So that's another good practice if you know. Also, you asked me what color scheme. Let me check. I don't know. Uh, it's the default color scheme. Is it? I don't know, man. No, it's not default. I think it wasn't default. I'm using NVChad with uh, one of those. Just forgot what I was using. Now even I have to figure it out. Was it Night Fox? No, it was not. I think it was Tokyo Night or something. Nah, now even I forgot what I was using. Rose Pine, we could go with Rose Pine. I'm not sure. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it was one of those like pale night, pastel dark, one of those. One nod? No, one dark? Yep, I think it was one dark. No, it was not one dark. The color seems off to me, but it could be. It stick to aquarium. Color scheme is again default. Okay, so I don't know. You could like differ should be called when you no longer use the service then. Yep. So differ is called when you're at the end of your function and you want to clean up. uh, differ you just make a rule of thumb that if you initiate something that needs to be closed, uh, when wherever it's no longer used, you just close it. Okay, so if you're inside a function and you are sure that once I leave this function I don't need this thing, you just defer a call wherever you create it, and that will make sure that whenever you leave that function, that defer is always called. So you need to make sure of that if there are any Go routines that are using, so maybe it's basically like any threads that are using your service, then you need to wait for those threads to finish before you call the Go routine, before you call the defer. Okay, those are just a few rule of thumbs. We'll be using a lot of Go routines here, but the best part that I think I'll have here is this close is in the main function, right? That close is here. This function is the first function to be called and the last to end. This ends at the end when everything is done. So even if I'm on a HTTP server and I shut it down, I will come out of the main function eventually, and this differ will be called. So there will be no service which will be using this DB client when I am leaving the main function. Right? So that is my understanding of differ. It's a good thing to use, but you need to make sure where you're calling it, and if there are any dependencies for that call. You could use wait groups if you want. I think we won't be using any wait groups, but yeah. If we use it, if we tend to use any wait groups, I think uh, you'll get to see one of them. We are returning the client and the error. I think error is nil, so I'll just return nil anyway. Now we have the database. I simply don't like this. What was the theme? Decay? I think decay was the theme that I was using. I'm not sure. I'll just come back to it if I don't find the right theme. This? Material darker? Nah. Nope. Yes, I was using night owl. Yes. So I am using nvchat with night owl. I'll just make a note of it here. Uh, theme is nvchat with night night owl. Um, let's continue. So we have the client and we have the new database here. CouchDB is connected. Uh, let's also check if database is actually connected, right? So we'll just make a DB call to get all databases, all DBs with context, background, and no options. I don't need to pass any options. So DBs and error. If error not equal to nil, I'll just log dot fatal. Fatal ln is basically fatal with a new line. And we'll just print log.printf dbs. I don't think I was using this, but anyway. Thanks. I did not do any major changes UI wise, but yeah, I do have a few LSPs configured, so you could check that out. Uh, the Yep, we do have a few LSPs here. So this is what I have. I use conform with buff pre-write to save and format on save. Then we have LSP config, which you could check it out here. And these are a few LSPs I've configured. So for Go, I have one for Go. I think I have one for Svelte, Python, Tailwind, some vanilla HTML, CSS, TypeScript, and for C++. That's it. I don't use C++ very often, but there are instances where I have to dive into C++, so the LSP just helps me out. Let's see. You'll also see that the defer call, this defer call, would come after everything ends. Okay. Just to show you, I'll do one thing. I'll change the defer call with a log. Log.println closing all connections. Okay, and we'll just do db client.close. I think that should be enough. And you need to make this call. So you actually call the function and you defer it. So what happens is if you simply call the function, it runs instantly. But if you add defer, your call uh, basically is scheduled for execution by the at the end of the function, like at end of the life cycle of this function. Just run make. Yeah, and like you see, we have closing all connections after everything happened because this was the last log that we had. So we had this log and then we had this call, right? Closing all connections. So now we know that our defer works, but we don't need this big of a defer. So we'll just have a very short call. And these are the two databases that we have. Logs is the one that got created uh, because we specified logs in the DB, and this particular thing got called. Okay, and trial was the one that we used in the last stream. So we have two databases now. In the next stream, I'll probably use my workspace. I have like another monitor, so I'll be able to read the chats more frequently. Yep, you got it. The differ gets called at the end of the life cycle of the function in which you call it. So if I'm calling it inside main, whenever my main life cycle ends, my differ will be called. If I'm calling it inside a different function, like basically a nested or a child function, whenever that child function returns, because that is the end of life of that function, then after its return, my differ will be called. So the scope matters. When your uh, that particular variable goes out of scope, that differ will be called. Could understand it that way. So whenever your uh, function or your whatever object or variable or instance you defined goes out of scope, your differ will be called. A few rules of thumb. You don't have multiple thumbs. Is it rule of thumbs or is it rules of thumb? Because I've only heard rule of thumb. What if you want plural? What if I want multiple rules on the same thumb? Can I have multiple rules on the same thumb? Anyway, we'll think about it while we write code. Okay, now we are connected. Let's go back to main. Okay, so we are now able to load the config, defer close our connection. We are connected to the database and we are able to read the database because we just got this particular thing. Um, yeah. So now let's start writing an HTTP ingestion endpoint. Ingestion in terms of logs is basically where you retrieve or you receive log data. So all I want is to have ingestion and I pump that data into my connection, okay, my DB. So let's make a server, type ingestion server. I don't know what I need in this, so I'll just leave this out. We need a new in, let's just copy this, don't want to write again. I did not copy. New ingestion server. Which basically returns an ingestion server. I fucked it up. I wanted to hit Y, but I accidentally hit U and it basically lowercased everything. Ingestion server. We want a new ingestion, or maybe I could just return an instance of the ingestion server as is. We might need to configure this with a mux. I'm not sure if we'll be configuring this with a mux. Let's just see. I want a net uh, servmux here. It's not net, it's HTTP servmux. Servmux, yes. So what I want is SV is HTTP new servmux, yes, and that gets added to the servmux that I set here. Okay, and then all I need to do is I also need an adder, which is basically where this thing will be running. So address or maybe not have adder. Let's just add the whole config. So config is app config, and if you notice, I don't have to write pkg dot like we did in this. I don't have to write pkg dot config. The reason is simple. I am already in the pkg package, so I can reference everything that is in the pkg package. And we are actually in the config is defined in the pkg package or module, whatever you want to call it. So we have that ingestion server config. Config is basically the config that comes from outside. Config is app config. So just set the config as config. And now we have a servmux that holds its own config. Because now what you can do is you could write simple HTTP endpoints using our own ingestion server and also handle a few other things. So let's do func setup server, and I'll just take server, or maybe, or we'll just call it prepare, and we'll set it as a property on this. Any errors would be propagated. By default, I don't think I'll have any errors. Yeah. I'll just call it s. So s dot handle func. Handle func is basically how do I want to handle it. We'll have slash in slash JSON ingest. Okay, ingest slash JSON, and the handler is a simple function which has a writer, HTTP response writer, and request, HTTP request. It does not return any errors, so we might need some utilities here, utils.go, and in the same package I'll use that func. Did you say something else? Yep, you could say rules of hand, but then we are bound to like what, five per hand, so we could only have five rules on the hand and one rule on the thumb again, so another restriction maybe. Why don't we call it rules of hairs? You can't even count. The only restriction is a bald man would have more problems. Maybe not. They have other hairs. Okay, not the point of discussion. Sorry. Write JSON is something that we need. And do we need to return data? I don't think, because we are ingesting log, I don't think we need to return anything. All we need to do is send a 200 or a status code so that everything happens by itself. We are fine on that front. So for now, we won't have any ingestion. We won't have any return. We'll have ingestion, but we won't have any return. We are posting to this. I need body, so we'll have body map of string to any. I don't care what the value is. I just want the keys to be strings. Then we have r dot body dot read, or maybe not read. How do we read this? I forgot. io dot read all, but r dot body. Yep, I think that's how you read. Or do you read it like that? JSON dot new decoder from r dot body, because I don't need to read everything. Just decode, JSON decoder will do it. And then dot decode into my body. And if there are any errors not equal to nil, I'll just send w dot write what? W dot write header. Yes. And we need to send like 500 because we could not decode the body, or maybe 422 unprocessable entity. If this confuses, you could just use status unprocessable entity. That's exactly 422, right? And then we return, because यहाँ पे हमारा काम हो गया, so we don't need anything else to be done here. We're simply sending a status, no body, okay? Because the log the remote server that's sending logs does not care about where what happens with the logs. It's basically pushing the logs out. So the status code itself would be sufficient. We will maintain the log locally, okay? So that is one thing. We'll see how we'll do that. Um, let's see. So we have one ingestion for JSON, and how do we ingest? These are basically green threads. Each of these is a Go routine. This func would be a Go routine. So I don't want to create another Go routine inside a Go routine, which makes no sense. I'm basically writing one log. So what I want is the database db, or okay. So we need the db here, which is kivik.db or kivik.client. That's good enough. Yes. And that's a pointer, not anything else. So db client will be pointer to kivik dot client, and I'll just set db as db client. So now you see, like, I don't know what I need. I thought of few things, and then we got here. So we have db dot let's just, we don't want to create db. I want db. Yes, db dot db. What a nice thing. Uh, or no, I already have the DB. I don't want the DB. I don't want the client. I want the database with the service. So I just want to have a service. You could do this, right? You could have the client. Let's just call it DB client. The reason is if you want a database per service. I think we'll do that, because if you're doing it that way, let's just do it like that. Okay, we have this, and the DB name will be um okay. So do we want to create the DB, because it is possible that the database might not exist, and if we are writing to the database that does not exist, it will fail. I don't want it to fail, but I also don't want to make like millions of calls to check for the database if it already exists. Although it's very light, the HTTP call by itself would be very light. But even if it's light, it will clog up my connection, because uh, then I'll be making two requests, two round trip requests per log, which is not very handy. Okay, so we'll tackle this problem later. For now, what I'll do is, instead of DB client, I'll just stick with DB, and we'll just use kivik.db. Okay, and this will be DB, and let's just call it DB. So DB is DB, and I don't want that. DB dot create doc. Context would not be that. Context could be r dot context. So the reason I'm using request constant context instead of my own context is if the request dies before my write completes, it will propagate that request over to this, because context is used for that, and that will cause the write to fail, because yep, my connection already died. So that is why whenever I'm in this request and I don't know what to use, just stick with your request context, or use context dot with context, like it's stated here. So you could have request dot with context and a different context to bring it here. For outgoing clients, it controls cancellation, and for incoming request, it handles cancellation. Okay, so that is the reason I try to use this. We have the doc, which we'll have here. I think it's just the body itself, no other options. What does it return? It returns me a doc ID, which I believe I don't need, and don't need the revision. I just need the error. And if error not equal to nil, we'll do this. Status internal server error and create doc. I don't think I didn't. It's w dot write header HTTP status created. I think that's good enough. Okay, so HTTP status created health. Okay, so this is a very simple request. It will take the body and write it as is. Okay, nothing else. What else we could do is we could augment the body with service name and all such information, but my ingestion system would need to tamper with the log. All I need is this. Okay, I think this error is unnecessary now. So now we are done with a server. Let's create the server. DB client is here. New database. Yes. Okay, so because I already have this, DB instance would be database dot not database DB client dot DB, and DB will be config CouchDB DB, and this returns an error. No, it returns an instance. Okay, and then we need the server, which is new server, new ingestion server with the config, which will be config app config. Yes, and DB is the DB instance that we have. This is if you want a very technical term for this is called dependency injection. Okay, so because this function, whatever it needs, I'm giving it explicitly out from outside, uh, avoiding any globals. Okay, I don't want to keep a global value because anybody can change it. What's happening to it is sort of not very easily trackable. So I'm avoiding any globals and I'm trying to inject the values that it needs. Helps in testing. Okay, when you'll start writing tests, this will come in very handy because now you can create your own config and check it out what happens. You can create your own multiple DB instances and check it out what happens. Okay, so this helps a lot in your robustness testing. Okay. Also, it helps a lot when you're basically expanding on other fronts. If you like the stream, just give it a like and keep talking on the chat. Helps me a lot because I am talking alone in a room alone. So sometimes I feel ghostly presence. Yep, got it. No hard-coded stuff unless it is actually hard-coded because sometimes you need a few hard-coded shit to work, like some thresholds or something. But in general case, try to avoid hard-coded stuff with configs and environment values and things that you can touch, but you won't touch very often because hard-coded stuff in code is difficult to figure out. Like you don't know what happens, what's the side effect. But things that you can control from outside the code, it's as simple as a redeployment. Simple. You could just add another, uh, you could change the value and restart the whole process. It takes like 3 seconds. But when you're basically changing code in production, you need to test it out. It'll take like an hour, maybe 2 hours. In my workplace, where I work, we had a production deployment which took us like I think 8 hours to test and validate that this will not kill the production because we had like a very minor change in one of our core systems. So try to not be hard coded. Avoid hard coding shit. Okay, because it'll fuck you up in very different ways that you can't even imagine. Now we need to prepare the server, which is basically we setting up, and then you just do server.listen, which I'll just write right now. Server.listen, I don't need this. Okay. So now let's write as ingestion server, listen. I don't need to pass it the address because we already have the config which has the address. So it's simple now. S dot uh, servmux, yes, dot no, it's called http.listen and serve. Yes, I am forgetting a lot of things. S config address and the servmux that we have. So even if you pass S as it is, it will work because this embedded thing would help it. If you want to be explicit, you could just write servmux and it will still work because the type is same. This is basically an embedded type, sort of. You could think of it as like inheritance, but it's not exactly inheritance. GoLang does not love the concept of inheritance. It just has struct embeddings. So this is an embedded struct inside another struct, which you can use interchangeably. So it basically conforms with both the types. We are listening, and because we are listening, we are basically blocking this thread. This HTTP listen and serve, this returns an error but keeps the thread alive. So this will be the last call that I make on the main thread, and when that stops, DB client will be closed. Simple. We don't need to close this config because Toml already decodes the file and closes the file, so I don't have to do it. If I'm here, my file is already closed. I don't have to handle that. We do need to add a log because somehow I need to know that my server is running. So we'll just add a log or ingestion ingestion server running on %s and that will be as config address. Yes, and that's a f, so I need a new line here. So that other logs that come along won't kill it. And now if we run this package, expected package found EOF. Is there an empty file? Yep, there is utils. So now we have ingestion server running 6588. Let's make another endpoint to check if my ingestion server is like happy or not. So we'll have handle func on get slash health, which is like a handy function to check whether your server is up or not, response writer, and R is a pointer to HTTP request. And all I need to do is get the config and write a response. So B encoded body is JSON dot new encoder. Write it to W dot encode and encode my body. I don't need this. I just need if error is not nil. I'll just log printf because I don't want to kill the process. I just need to log something that I could not write to the thread. Okay, write error percent v err dot error. And if I'm doing that, I just need s because this will be a string, but the err itself is an error which you could use. It says undefined body. Yep, body is undefined because I did not tell you what it is. I want status healthy uptime. How do we get the uptime? I think when the server starts, we could have like a start time, which is time dot time. Okay, the s is small if you note. The reason is I don't want to expose this. This is a very internal property. So start time is time dot now specific to it, and this is time dot since uh, s dot start time dot how do I format this time? I think it will format by itself. I don't have to. JSON encoder kar lega. Message. There is no message. What I have is app name, which will be s config name, and description, which will be s config description. Okay. Now if we do this, yes, and let's make a call. Localhost. What was the port again? 6588 on health. We get that, but I can't read it, so we'll do this. Let's also make this silent so we are able to read this. Okay, so now we have app name, the status is healthy, and the uptime is some random time that I don't want to be there. I want this. Okay, so I think I can format this into something more handy, like in what about in minutes? I think that makes sense. Uptime minutes, that makes more sense. Let's make the same call again, and now we have 0.03 minutes. Uh, Happy with that? No issues, man. The production environment is basically fragile. You could take it like that. Any production environment is fragile. Any change and you might lose money. That is how you could understand production environment. Production environment basically means whenever you make a change, there is a high probability that you'll either lose money or have some problems with your clients, customers, whoever is using your product. So it's that. It's not that different from whatever you're doing by yourself. The only thing is when you're doing it by yourself, you are the only user, and when you're in production, you are not the only user. It basically becomes you are not the user. Then there are like 100,000 whatever your client base is, that many users, and you are the one handling the product. Yep. So if you make mistakes in production, it will cost you. So it depends on what kind of mistake it is. A typo in a username would might cause you to not have a transaction on record, which basically is like fraud. So somebody pays you and they don't see a transaction. They basically will feel like, where is my money? But if they see a record on their dashboard, or if you show them that yep, we got your money, this is a reflection of it, your money reflects this way, it makes sense. But again, you could have heavy side effects. So if you code as a hobby, great, keep going. You never know when your hobby becomes production code. So now we have ingestion ready. I think we also need to have some way of looking at the records. So I'll just make another quick endpoint to list everything. Handle func like get uh, maybe records slash logs. Maybe just call it logs. W is response writer and R is request. And now I just need the database. So as db all docs. The only thing that you need to make sure is here in this particular endpoint is the request could get cancelled before your logs are loaded. So you need to pass in the request context. So if that gets cancelled, this doc request will also get cancelled because essentially it's another HTTP request inside an HTTP request. So if one gets cancelled, uh, the other one should also be cancelled. So the DB is not basically working on a set of results that we basically don't need. Here I need include docs. I think this is what it uses to prepare the docs. We need the docs here because normally when you do this, all these things, it won't give you the actual document. There's no point in adding a heavy record to the results if you don't need it. So you have to tell it that you need the documents. Result set dot next. Right. So you just need a for and I need to decode this data. But before that, I think instead of all docs, I need to run a find with how do I make the query? It could be a string. Okay, so r dot context. This could be a string. I'll just make it a string and we'll just say include docs. And let's see how CouchDB pagination works. Let's see how it works. Yes, a view. I don't want a view. I just want a new result. Oh, I just want that. So the limit is 5. So where is my query? Where is my string query? I don't want to add a view.
Sure, I can help with this. First, please unlock the
Hey
phone.
Google, stop. Damn, my phone starts. Shit. Yeah, I did see that my audio is on mono. I'm trying to figure it out. I think my Pulse audio is having some problems. Happy to be classified as not an influencer.
Sorry, I can't help with that. You can control.
Okay, my Google Assistant is doing some weirdness. Yep, it's mostly Pulse audio. My Pulse audio suddenly shifted everything to mono. I think the reason is because my headphones are connected, and this is something that I've noted with Pulse Audio. Whenever I connect my headphones, my headphone mics, uh, the headphone mic that I use, it always transforms into shifts to mono. But if I switch my output from my headset to let's say speaker or a different output, then it basically works on stereo. So it's basically the same shit that every Bluetooth thing has. Maybe Pulse Audio never wants to fix that. Uh, yep, same. whoever is on a Unix based device, I'm not talking about Mac, so let's stick to Linux based device. Pulse Audio will have this problem for you, and it's in the bag. So whenever you install it, it brings you that problem on the table. Like, look, bro, I have this problem. If you're happy with it, good. If you're not, deal with it, because Pulse Audio is not going to deal with it. Simple as that. So no worries. I think we'll be having another stream soon, and then I'll be on my workspace, and we'll be using an external mic. So that probably is on stereo. You'll guys have to bear with me. No, it's not i3. It's Archcraft with Arch and Hyperland. This is my config. If you want, this is not a very recent device. I have this device for like, I don't even remember. It's like January of 2021. So it's like 3 years now. That's it. The only upgrades I had was a RAM, nothing else. Everything is stock on my laptop apart from the Linux installation. Archcraft is one of my love. Okay, apart from this, I tried Garuda, but it's too eye candy. I am a minimalist type person. This is what I love. Garuda, if you look at it, it's very eye candy. I tried it for like 2 months and I'm like, nah, bro, this is too much icons. I don't want to deal with so many icons. I even removed icons from my waybar because who wants to memorize like that Firefox icon means workspace 2? I don't want to. I just want just write 2 for me and I'm happy. Yep, Garuda is but again, Garuda I believe is for people who are just stepping into Arch. So because what I've seen so far is people who have tried Arch are happy with it, and people who haven't tried Arch are scared of it because they feel like, oh, I have to do everything on the terminal. No, you just have to do it once so that you can set up everything on the rest of the shit, and then you have a lot of things. Arch only gives you the flexibility to do things your way. So that is my take on it. I have Hyperlad, but uh, I started from OpenBox. So OpenBox was Archcraft OpenBox was my starting, and then I moved to Archcraft Hyperlad, and I'm happy. I've been using Arch for like what, six, not six, I'll say 4 years now. So I've been with Arch for 4 years, and I'm happy. I've been with Linux for 6 years. That I can say. Yep. So, Garuda is great for gaming, but you could do the same shit otherwise. Garuda only helps you upfront with Steam installation and all that stuff. They have like their Garuda Central, and I think they renamed it to something else. Garuda Assistant, I believe that's what they called it the last time I used Garuda. And they give you like a one-click button so you could install Steam and game skips and all that stuff and play games. Like I could do this on my system, but with 52 gigs, I don't want to play games. Like my workspace will flood and I'll get killed because see, this device that you see in front of me is side loaded with uh, Windows. So this only has like 100 gigs out of my 500 gigs. So it's that. The only reason I have Windows is I play games. There's no other reason for me to have Windows. And after the worldwide blue screen of death, I'm very happy I'm on Arch. You guys must be like, must have heard. Did you did you hear the blue screen of death that killed, I think, most of the Windows systems across? Like airports died, hospitals died, a lot of Windows 10 and 11 systems died. Anyways, let's just write this ingestion server and wrap the stream for today. I believe I'll also be pushing this on GitHub, so if you want to look at it, you're open to look at it. And I forgot what I was looking for. I was looking for pagination query. Bro, give me the query. Give. I don't want a view. I just want query. What's the alternate way? Who perform poorly? Yeah, additionally, yeah, I know the correct solution is not much harder. We took 10 rows at a time. Use start key to jump. Again, same shit. Just give me what the query is. Mhm. Okay, hold it. Yeah, query server. Show me the query server. Is there a query server? Query server external process that can by JSON protocol through stdio interface. Fuck it. I don't think I need query server. I just need the API reference for pagination. Yeah, I did see this. Databases, documents, design. Do I need design? No, I don't need design. Partition. I just need documents. And can we paginate this? I don't want to, bro. Like, what is this? Why can I not make a simple pagination call? Is it necessary for me to just have a view? I don't want a view. Like, do you have any of you used CouchDB before? Yep, CrowdStrike it was. Yeah, it was the CrowdStrike agent that downloaded like a fucked up file and basically killed the Windows. Although it's not a Windows problem, but again, Windows relies so heavily on one of its agents that it got killed. Like you can't uh, boot up without rolling back, and you can't roll back without actually booting in. So there was a lot of struggle going on there. But then, like, there are alternatives. You could basically jump into like the system with a live CD and then basically just kill that file. But again, not everybody. Yeah, the recovery problem, obviously, and it's basically a paradox for Windows. You can't boot into the device because it's dead, but you can't recover it unless you boot into it. So you have to go in somehow. And not everybody knows that a live CD can go into the Windows disk without any problem. So there was like a zombie apocalypse for a day, or I think for like 3 days on a lot of IT department personnel. They were like they were basically from what I saw, one of my friends is in a multinational company, and they had this problem in I think half of their devices, and the IT personnel basically were struggling with the problem. So they said like everybody keep their devices at their own desk, okay, and whoever has the problem stick up a blue flag. They basically distributed a blue flag, and whoever had the blue flag, they would go with a flash disk, a USB drive, plug in, live boot into it, kill the file, and boot in normally. And that they did like across the whole company. And I was like, okay, at least you figured out that people don't have to stand on your head. They could basically chill out on their own workspaces, their desks, and you could also identify like who has the problem, who doesn't. But still, man, like for for 3 days they were like roaming around with a stick and then calling out like who has the problem, who's left with the problem. Tell me now or I'm going to rest. And they're like, bro, at least have let me have snacks. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know the numbers. Like I said, it wasn't me. One of my friends was there, and if basically like 3 floors of the office has blue flags, I don't think you need to count. They have a whole building for their office, just like I think Microsoft has, and similarly, they had like I think 3 or 4 floors, uh, basically filled with blue flags. And then what they said was because you can't basically keep printing blue flags. So what they said was when someone new comes, the person who got the problem solved will hand over the flag to them, and then they'll use the flag. So basically recycling. They were solving I think multiple problems at that point. They were not just solving Windows. They were solving like crowd management, and then at times anger management, time management, like a few different management problems at that point. Good to see that IT department is not just there for my Windows is stuck. I think why can I not paginate this? I think we need to uh, somehow figure out how CouchDB handles pagination. CouchDB pagination query. Do we have something like this? Pagination? No, that's Stack Overflow. But what? This is Leo telling me a lot of things, but I need the query. I don't need the URL. I'm using something else, so I need a query. Let's see if Kivik has something to do with it. Can Kivik paginate this? Can I search here in this package? Can I search in this package? Jump to, is there something called pagination or skip or page or find? Nope. Documentation, maybe. Functions. What? What is this? Okay, so I am looking at an internal thing. I want the whole thing. I want the whole story. No, this is even smaller. Shit. What a good package we are using. Like it's not even there. Okay. End key, start key. What is it? For with the key foo. What is it? Start key, end key. Okay. So ddoc, then there is a view. So I can run a query with ddoc and view with start key and end key is that. I don't know what that is. Okay, and can I paginate this? Register, attachment, scan all. Okay, nah, I don't think I can paginate this. So we have a pagination problem, guys. Yep, Kivik is like a driver for CouchDB. I don't think we made the best choice picking Kivik, but let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. I don't think we'll be making bulk calls, so let's just uh, be happy with all docs. And in the next stream, we'll handle this case effectively. I don't think we need to handle this case right now. So we have a result set, and I need um, maybe I need a response. Maybe docs. Let's call it docs. Will be a slice of map string any. Basically, this is like slice of documents, and we also need a single doc, which will be this. So this is docs and this is single doc. I'm declaring these here so I could reuse them. Okay, just to be heads up, because I don't want to declare inside. So I don't want to create a new memory space inside the loop every time. Okay, so I'm creating the space once and I'll keep reusing this again and again, and it'll override it basically. Like you could see it does that. So result set dot decode, that is decode. Result set dot scandoc. Yes, it's scandoc. Mm, and let's scan it into doc. And if error is that, and error is nil, I don't care if an error comes. Okay, for now, all I need, if there is no error, then I'll update the docs with this new doc. And then we need to write it back. So uh, let's just use JSON new encoder on the writer and just encode a new map of string to any, and we'll just say docs is doc. Yes, doc. Yep, that's fine. And we'll also write write the header as HTTP status. Okay. Yeah, I think we are done. Make make will run our ingestion server. Let's make a Python or maybe a simple. What do you guys say? Now time for a poll. Okay, I'm not creating a poll because it's just three of us here. So on you. We can create a Python program that will generate the logs. We can create a Go program, a simple Go script that will generate the logs. What do you want? You want Python or you want Go? It's just JSON logs. So we just need something that could pump out JSON randomly. What do you guys want? Hi, hi guys. Are you there? Are you still watching? If you're not, then I'll just probably roll a dice or flip a coin or something. Because I don't know, I could create both. Okay. Makes sense. Rolling Stone, you still there? I think he's not there because I see just one, so probably he's probably not there. Okay, I'll anyway let's just create a poll. So if he comes back, probably what client, what should we use to create the client? This probably will be like Python and the other one will be Go. Yeah, I believe there is a very little delay, and that comes with the stream because you guys are like the first few on the stream, probably only few. Last few streams I did probably alone. Nobody was talking in the chat, so I left the delay to default. I think it's normal delay of about I think 2 seconds, I believe. So if you guys keep coming back and start talking, I'll probably reduce the delay. For me, myself alone, I don't think I needed to change the delay. There's a delay of about I think 2 or 3 seconds. Uh, so go on, guys. Vote in, and we'll use that. Can I end the poll in some time? Okay, I have to manually end the poll. Okay. Yeah. This is top chat. I could shift it to live chat and see everything probably live. Okay. We got one. I think Rolling Stone isn't here, so uh, he might have gone back to counting blue flags. He'll be back when he's done with the blue flags. I'll just ping him if he's back. Yeah. Let me know how many blue flags you counted. Yep. I think we are happy with that, and with that, I'll just create a simple client client.go package main. This would give me a problem because it's redeclared, but we'll be running this as a standalone script, so it doesn't matter. It's just a simple thing. Or what I could do is I could create the client here. And won't have the same problem. What? Yeah. Package main. Now because I'm in a different folder, my main differs. Right? So it's like a small trick. Okay. So I think he'll be back on the next stream. Let's see. He should be back on the next stream. Uh, Okay, we are creating a client that will pump out logs, right? So let's write a function to uh, generate log, random log, and that would be a simple map of, I think we'll just type alias this log to map string to string, string to any. Okay, so I don't have to write the map thing again and again. It will still be the same thing, right? So this is how you type alias things. So I don't have to write map string any again and again. I could just simply write log and it means the same. Return a log. Okay. So this also works because again, it's basically like replacing this part with that part and it works the same. I don't have to redo the same thing. And we need some keys. So I'll just make it like time dot now dot ISO. Is it ISO dot string? Okay, okay, that's fine. I think that is fine. We have time. We have a message. We need a level. So level is basically error or something. I'll just have levels as a slice of string with these values. These values like error, info, debug, critical, and what else? Warning. I think these are the few error logs that we get. Yeah, that works. Uh, had another set of braces there. Message should be another random thing. So let's include random because we'll be using that a lot. Random, random. I think, is it random? I think it is random. Okay, you cannot import random. Is it math slash random? No, it's called rand. Yep, I remember. It's called rand. That too from math. What is string value type string is not consistent? What the fuck? Why is it that? Okay, invalid type slice of string. Okay, something is wrong. What if we call it where? Expected a semicolon found something. Okay. Yeah, now it's fine. So the message is um let's have a few messages as well. Messages. Uh, failed to generate logs. Failed to generate message or something like that. Started service, created new document, failed to complete request or something like that. Um, field is required but missing. I think that should be fine. So now the message is random dot, is there is no choice. So I need a random integer. Um, okay. Let's just say message msg id is random dot integer n with a length of messages. That will give me a number between 0 and whatever the length of messages is, 5. So it will give me a number between 0 and 4 included. Same for level ID and length of levels. Message is messages on message ID and level is levels on level ID. Um, okay. Which errors? The errors usually are self-explanatory. Like you don't have to be very experienced and go to understand the errors. You just need to be good enough to know what the error is roughly. So, if something is failing, there's definitely something wrong. And to figure out what's wrong, you need to see where the error originates from. So, if you know how to look at the trace of an error, so whatever is behind the error, whatever the error tells you, I think you have a good starting point. You could basically take it from there. We have time, message, and level. I think this should be enough for us to check whether our service works or not. You could have a lot other fields like user ID or some other ID or some random things or some span ID, trace ID, whatever you want. I think this should be good enough for us. Maybe just add like a request ID or something. So this basically becomes a very big number, like 1E10, 1E6. And I'll just call it request ID is request ID. And now let's create a few requests. So for and we'll use Go routines. Okay, so WG is basically sync dot wait group. This will help me wait for everything to be done. Okay, this not done. I need to wait for it. Yes, and then I'll be for underscore in basically in range. Does it work like that? I don't remember. Let's just try to print it. I think this should work. Go run bin client. Yep, it printed, so it does run like that. Another thing that we learned, you and me, both. Then we need to send a log. So let's just create a function to send log, which will basically have a new log as generate log, and then it'll do a new request. So http dot new request, which is request. So the new request takes method which is post, the URL which is http uh, localhost. I forgot the port 6588. Okay. Then ingest JSON, and then it has the body. Body is a reader. I don't know how the reader works, so I'll just basically send like the new log. That's how it works. No, io.reader, or maybe json.new encoder, where buffer is io.reader, string reader. There's something called string reader. Let's just look it up. GoLang post request using http dot new request. I just want to know how I'll send the body. That's it. Okay. Okay, strings dot new reader with data dot encode, and data is, what is data? Data is a URL dot values thing, which it's somehow URL encoded payload. No, I don't want that. I simply want JSON data. Can I make a JSON.new reader? I cannot make a JSON new reader. So GoLang post request JSON. How about that? Yeah, let's see if this works. Okay, so user is that JSON data is marshaled, and then the marshaled comes with new buffer. Okay, so uh, encoded data becomes JSON.marshal. This new log. Yes. What does it give me? It also gives me an error. So if error not equal to nil, I'll just return with a log dot printf percent hash v. So I know, or maybe just a string with a new line, and err dot error, and then return. So this won't do anything. Then we need new buffer, so that will be bytes dot new buffer, and from encoded data. What happened? Yes, encoded data. New request also gives me an error that we can handle similarly. And then I'll do http default client dot do this what is it, request? Yes. And it will give me a response and an error, and I'll just handle the error, and I'll also check if response dot status code is not equal to 200. I think it won't give me 200, it'll give me 201. If it's not, I'll just log that um, response code is ready, and that will be res status code. Error. We'll just group this into the error tag. Yep, and now for 20 request, I'll just spin up go func and wg dot add one defer wg dot done. So that will mark that this is done, and then I need to call send log. That's it. Expression in Go. Yep, call it. So this part is if you don't know, yep, correct. You got it. In JS, this would be similar to you making a promise.all or promise.all settled request with an await. So unless all these requests are fulfilled, you're basically awaiting the whole group of promises. Here, because we have Go routines, I create a wait group. So basically, if any request is in the group, I'll wait for it unless the group goes to zero. So I keep uh, like I start a Go routine, and as soon as I start it, I'll add one to the wait group. So there'll be so when we reach this point, there will be at least one entry in the Go routine, and then as other Go routines spin up, they'll add more fields. And the wait dot wg dot done, it basically just decrements the counter by one. So the one that you added is then removed. Done. Okay. You could, if you're having multiple requests that you want to wait for, you could add more. You could basically add two and then call done two times. So that will be a similar case. Yeah, it is because we are basically creating a new client. Our ingestion server is already done. What we're doing now is creating a client that will push out logs. In JS, if you want, you could just basically do a promise dot all settled and like throw in the logs. This step that we are doing, you basically won't have to do this if I'm basically using my app as it is. The server is ready. I just want to push some logs into it so I can test it out whether the database is accepting the logs or not. In the next stream, maybe with more people around, uh, I'll probably run this through a K6 uh, test. So it'll basically hammer my request and load test, and we'll see how many requests our simple Go server can handle. Also, we'll have a baseline on optimizations that we could do. I think that's it. Sending logs. Okay, let's add a simple log. printf sending logs slash n, nothing else. Sending a log. Yeah. So our server is ready. I think I'll not spin it inside here. I'll spin it outside. Uh, yeah, here. And then just drop it here. Go run bin client. Did it run? I think it did not run. Something else happened. Send log did not run because I did not get this log. Send log. Okay, WG for range. Let's do a time dot sleep here for like 2 into time dot second. So that's basically waiting for 2 seconds and then waiting for the wait group. So my go routines can complete. Everything else is printed except for error, and we'll also add another error here, error. One more thing that I believe we should do before we do this is in our ingestion server, whenever there is a new log entry, we should add a log for ourselves, log.printf, um, like received log, ingesting log, or something like that. I don't know. Just so we know that the server is actually getting the request. Yeah. So we sent a few requests and we got a few requests, right? Uh, I stream at about 8:30 p.m. IST, like whatever time that is in your time zone. Could map it out. I think that becomes 30 and 5, about 3 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. London time, and then you can map it out from there. Also, if you want, I usually schedule my streams ahead of time. So I think a day or two ahead. So if you subscribe and check around, you'll probably find my stream scheduled, and you can uh, get yourself notified. I think it notifies half an hour before the stream starts. Also when the stream starts. So uh, win-win there. Also, we usually don't have people around. Great. But where in IST? Because I am sitting in Delhi. Mhm. I think I should reduce the delay a little bit. Okay, I'll do that in the next stream. Okay, great. So now we have some logs. Let's see if we get the documents that we wanted, which is get logs. So curl http localhost 6588 is, I think, the logs. Then let's pipe that with JQ. And we do have the logs. We got the logs and we did not fail. Nothing failed and we got the logs. Failed to generate message, failed to generate message. For some reason, my randomness did not work. It always gave me value 0. So I think our client randomizer is not working. Yes. So here, generate log. This is not working, I believe. Ran.seed. Or maybe I think I should get a new source. Seed is time dot milliseconds. And use the source as dot. So rand dot. How does that source work? I don't know. What's available in zipf? Nothing. New with, okay, so I can create a new rand with the new source. So R is the new randomizer which I can use here. because I believe what happened was all go routines ran at the same time, and so my seed failed. ए भाई ये तो अपने घर के पास में है, कोई नहीं, enjoy, enjoy, मेरे को कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, but there are two people watching. Who else is watching? Are there two people watching? I don't know. If anybody else is watching apart from us two, drop something in the comments so I know who somebody else is also watching. I don't know. This chart might be delayed. Might clear. No, it is not delayed. Somebody else is watching. Nice. Shreya is watching. But it's quite late. We're already 2 hours 10 minutes in, and basically we completed the whole uh, aggregator project. We are done with this. अपना काम यहाँ हो गया. हमने को और कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. We are done with this, and also log ingestion is working. The randomizer was not working because, like I said, सारे go routines एक साथ चल गए, and what happened was जो हमारा base randomizer था उसका source that was initiated once, ठीक है, global source जो initiate होता है, and because I called all the int n's at the same time almost, ठीक है, तो सबने same value दे दी. हो सकता है, ठीक है, हो सकता है. I'll set it to ultra low latency next time, तो it will probably not will not be delayed by that much seconds, ठीक है, but I'm still happy that I am talking to somebody, not just myself, ठीक है, अकेले बात करने में मेरे को खुद को weird लगता है. So let's just run the randomizer again, client request again. आ गया. Okay, and wait group was done. And let's see if we can see the logs. Yes, started a service, and now the randomizer is still not working. The source is still not working. But ठीक है, what we found was uh, even if our source is initialized to some random thing, what I can do is I can do one more thing, but that will be weird क्योंकि सारे go routines एक साथ चल रहे हैं. कोई बात नहीं. What we achieved so far is a Go based log aggregator which does not depend on a service. ठीक है. I don't know, मैं हफ्ते भर busy था. I was busy with my day work, और evening में मैं बहुत lazy हो जाता हूँ. Weekend है, so I thought of streaming weekend. हाँ, I know that. Like I said, मेरा mic is again connected to my headset, ठीक है, and that is pulse audio की दिक्कत. ये कैसा क्वेश्चन है? मैं तो किसी फरारी में नहीं बैठा हूँ that you're asking me what I do for a living. कुछ नहीं. I write code दिन भर. Professionally, personally, that's what I do for a living. I am a software engineer in a company, ठीक है, currently senior software engineer in Gamut, और हम basically दिन भर कोड लिख रहे होते हैं. तो आई थॉट अगर मैं दिन भर कोड ही लिख रहा हूँ तो मैं सिखा भी दूँ. जॉब, like I said, senior software engineer at Gamut, so I am on a job, but I am also a student, ठीक है. I'm like you see I am learning, ठीक है. CouchDB मुझे नहीं आता था, मुझे बस ये पता है कि CouchDB कुछ होता है, तो आई ट्राइड इट आउट. कल ही चालू किया था, एंड आज ऑलमोस्ट खत्म हो गया. ऑल्दो ठीक है, हेड्स अप, पेजिनेशन अभी भी नहीं पता चला है कैसे होता है. उस पर थोड़ा सा ढूंढना पड़ेगा, ठीक है. माइट बी अ होमवर्क फॉर यू इफ यू वांट. पेजिनेशन कैसे काम करता है देख लो. बट आई थिंक वी आर डन हियर, ठीक है. एटलीस्ट बेसिकली our ingestion server is ready. We are happy. Yes, our ingestion server is ready. It is taking in logs, it is piping the logs to the database, and we are able to get the data from the database. So it is there, ठीक है. Next stream, because बहुत late हो गया. Next stream में next stream कल करें, because I streamed yesterday, I streamed today, I might as well stream tomorrow. What say? पर आज की stream बहुत लंबी हो गई. You guys joined in very late. Like, look at this. I started. ये time खराब है. This time is not correct. You guys joined in at 9. मैं आधा घंटा. You guys joined in half hour late. ठीक है. So आधे घंटे में मैंने रिकैप दिया था। इफ़ यू डोंट नो, तो यू कैन चेक इट आउट। हाफ आवर का रिकैप, ठीक है, स्ट्रीम को रिवर्ट कर लेना, पता चल जाएगा कि पिछली स्ट्रीम में क्या किया था, और पिछली स्ट्रीम में जो भी किया था वो हम इस स्ट्रीम को कंबाइन करके अगले स्ट्रीम में करेंगे। नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम में वी माइट बी चेकिंग दिस आउट, बिकॉज हमने अनस्टेबल लिखा है, मुझे पता है अनस्टेबल है, ठीक है, दिस माइट डाई एनी टाइम, बट आई ट्रस्ट गो ऑन द फैक्ट कि जो हमने बेसिक एरर हेड लिख करी है उस पर नहीं मरेगा। द ओनली प्लेस वेयर इट कैन डाई इज व्हेन when there is an unhandled error, or the only place or only reason it can die is when there is a pointer exception, ठीक है, अगर कोई ऐसा पॉइंटर यूज कर दिया मैंने जो डिफाइंड नहीं है, सो वो हो सकता है, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम पे वील बी टेस्टिंग दिस आउट, वील सी कि ये कितना स्टेबल है, कितना रेजिलियंट है, कितना झेल सकता है, ठीक है। टुडे वी मेड अ गो बेस्ड क्लाइंट, नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम पे विल मेक अ पाइथन का जो डिफ़ॉल्ट लॉगर है। हाँ, यप, कल इसकी टेस्टिंग करेंगे, कल इसको हैमर करके देखेंगे। K6 इज़ अ टूल, वेट आई शो यू, ग्राफाना K6, K6 इज़ अ लोड टेस्टिंग टूल, ठीक है, ये फ्री है बेसिकली। अगर बैक एंड डेवलपमेंट कोई करता है, ठीक है, इफ़ यू गाइज आर इंटरेस्टेड, नॉट यूनिट टेस्टिंग, यूनिट टेस्टिंग हमें अभी करनी थी, ठीक है, वाइल वी वर राइटिंग कोड, बट कोड लिखने के बाद मुझे पता चल गया कि माई कोड वर्क्स, सो आई विल बी लोड टेस्टिंग दिस थिंग, लोड टेस्टिंग करनी है, विच बेसिकली मीन्स कि आई वॉन्ट टू सी हाउ मैनी रिक्वेस्ट माई सर्वर कैन हैंडल बिफोर डिग्रेडिंग, ठीक है, कितने रिक्वेस्ट कॉन्करेंटली मैं हैंडल कर सकता हूँ। तो K6 वी कुड यूज K6 में देखो एक सिनेरियो डिफाइन कर लेते हैं, दैट दिस इज माय डेटा, दिस इज माय पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट, एंड वो अपना काम कर देगा, मेरे को और कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, मेरे को सिर्फ एपीआई है। थ्रेशोल्ड कॉन्फ़िग है, सो यहाँ पे हम डिफाइन कर सकते हैं कि व्हाट इज माय टाइम थ्रेशोल्ड रिक्वेस्ट ड्यूरेशन का। फॉर अस बहुत छोटी रिक्वेस्ट है, ठीक है, बहुत छोटी रिक्वेस्ट है, सो व्हाट आई नीड टू नो इज कि कोई थ्रेशोल्ड नहीं बनाना है, आई विल मेक लाइक, ये देखो 104 के रिक्वेस्ट गई हैं, ठीक है, एवरेज रिस्पॉन्स टाइम इज 4 रिक्वेस्ट, पीक रिक्वेस्ट पर सेकेंड इज 100, ये ऐसा ग्राफ बन के आता है, ठीक है, 50 UVs फॉर 10 मिनट्स, 2 लोड जोन्स, ये ऐसे टेस्ट करता है। सो वी विल बी टेस्टिंग समथिंग लाइक दैट, पर हम स्मोक टेस्ट नहीं करेंगे, वो हमने अभी कर लिया। स्मोक टेस्ट बेसिकली मीन्स कि रिक्वेस्ट मार के देखो फटा तो नहीं, ठीक है। वी विल बी डूइंग अ स्ट्रेस टेस्ट, अ स्पाइक टेस्ट, ठीक है, दो चीज़ें। स्ट्रेस टेस्ट इज बेसिकली 100,000 रिक्वेस्ट मारते रहो, ठीक है, एवरी सेकेंड, एंड कीप रनिंग इट फॉर लाइक 1 मिनट। तो 1 मिनट तक अगर मेरे सिस्टम पे लगातार 100,000 रिक्वेस्ट आ रही है तो क्या कर रहा है, ठीक है, टाइम में कितना डिफरेंस आता है, कितने रिक्वेस्ट हैंडल कर रहा है, मेमोरी कितना खा रहा है, सीपीयू कितना खा रहा है, वो चीज़ें हम ट्रैक करेंगे। स्पाइक टेस्ट इज विल स्टार्ट विथ लाइक लेट्स से 1,000 रिक्वेस्ट, ठीक है, एंड देन विल सडनली पंप इट टू लाइक 8,000, ठीक है, 8 टाइम्स। तो ये जो स्पाइक है ये आएगा और 3 सेकंड में चला जाएगा, एंड वी नीड टू सी कि 3 सेकंड के बाद क्या मेरा सिस्टम रिकवर करता है, वो अपने रिसोर्सेज डाउन करके वापस से अपने पुराने स्टेट पे आएगा, या फिर मेरे कहीं पे मेमोरी लीक है, ठीक है, मेमोरी लीक यहाँ से पता चल जाएगा कि अगर सडन स्पाइक हुआ और वो स्पाइक चला गया, बट आपका जो एप्लीकेशन है वो अभी भी रिसोर्स खा रहा है, तो देर इज सम काइंड ऑफ लीक, ठीक है, कुछ तो है जो अभी भी मेमोरी में बैठा है जिसकी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, ये दो चीज़ें कल हम टेस्ट करेंगे। ऑल्सो विल बिल्ड पाइथन बेस्ड क्लाइंट, ठीक है, बिकॉज गो में मुझे जेसॉन लॉग्स बनाने में टाइम लगेगा, ऑल्सो लॉग मैं बनाऊंगा, बेसिकली मुझे बनाना पड़ेगा लॉग। पाइथन में यू ऑलरेडी हैव लॉगिंग पैकेज लाइब्रेरी जो इनबिल्ट आती है उसमें, एंड पाइथन में वट एवर यू रन, ठीक है, वो लॉग्स अपने आप जनरेट करता रहेगा। तो हमें बस एक पाइथन में जेसॉन लॉग एक्सपोर्टर बनाना है जो उस लॉग स्ट्रक्चर को जेसॉन में कन्वर्ट करके मेरे लॉग इंजेक्शन सर्वर पे भेज देगा, एंड देन वी कुड चेक आउट वेदर द लॉग इंजेक्शन वर्क्स और नॉट, एंड ऑल्सो वी कुड रिट्रीव समथिंग। मे बी आगे की किसी स्ट्रीम में हम इसके ऊपर एक फ्रंट एंड और बना ले साथ में, ठीक है, कुछ स्वेल्ट वगैरह यूज़ करके, बिकॉज देखो आई डोंट वांट टू यूज़ रिएक्ट, ठीक है, यू विल फाइंड लाइक मिलियन ट्यूटोरियल्स ऑन रिएक्ट। आई डोंट वांट टू यूज़ नेक्स्ट, बिकॉज अगेन रिएक्ट आती है, नेक्स्ट भी आती ही है, कोई बहुत डिफिकल्ट नहीं है। आई वांट टू यूज़ समथिंग जो तुमको नहीं आती या तुमने जल्दी सुना नहीं, सो विल यूज स्वेल्ट, ठीक है। मे बी इवन यूज एच टी एम एक्स, सुना होगा पर यूज नहीं किया होगा, मैंने भी नहीं किया। सो विल प्रॉब्ली यूज स्वेल्ट और समथिंग एंड देखते हैं जैसा होगा। मे बी कल की स्ट्रीम में हम फ्रंट एंड एंड टेस्टिंग एंड ये सब कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। सो सी यू टुमारो गाइस एट 8:30। अभी ऑलरेडी 11 बज गया है, सो जाओ जाके, ठीक है, हो गया है, सो जाओ। ग्रेट, अमेजिंग। स्वेल्ट बहुत मस्त चीज़ है इस्तेमाल करने के लिए, इफ़ यू नो हाउ टू यूज स्वेल्ट, ठीक है। इट इज़ रिएक्टिव, इट इज़ सिंपल, इट इज़ प्लेन एच टी एम एल, ठीक है, कोई एक्स्ट्रा तीन जाम नहीं है उसमें, मस्त जगह है वो। जाओ तो जाओ, चलो, बाय, सी यू टुमारो। सब्सक्राइब कर लेना, ठीक है, जाने से पहले भागना नहीं, सुनो, सब्सक्राइब कर लो, अगर लाइक नहीं किया है तो लाइक कर दो, ठीक है। शेयर कर लेना स्ट्रीम आपस में, बहुत लंबी हो गई है बट बता देना कि 9 बजे से देखना शुरू करो, बेसिकली हाफ आवर इन टू द स्ट्रीम, वहाँ पे हम बकचोदी कर रहे थे एक्चुअली, ठीक है। एंड सब्सक्राइब कर लोगे तो कल की जब स्ट्रीम शेड्यूल करूँगा सुबह, तो तुमको पता चल जाएगा, ठीक है। और अगर कल की नहीं होती है स्ट्रीम, तो आई विल शेड्यूल इट एनी वे, जब भी मुझे सही लगेगा, ठीक है, वेन एवर आई एम अवेलेबल, और तुमको पता चल जाएगा। तो डू सब्सक्राइब, ओके। और मुझे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है कि कौन सब्सक्राइब कर रहा है, ऑल आई वॉन्ट इज़ जो आए सीख के जाए, ठीक है। तो गुड नाइट, सो जाओ।